Hi, everybody. This is Steve Dudarian from Mass Golf. I'm thrilled to be joined by one of the most respected players to come out of Massachusetts. This Worcester native is one of a handful of players to win the Mass Amateur and the Mass Open and now competes on the PGA Tour Champions. After a serious shoulder injury sidelined him back in July 2019, he went over 18 months without competing on the Champions Tour before making his return last month at the Cologuard Classic. Here to talk about his return back and much more is Fran Quinn. Fran, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Steve. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So first, like I said, we're really glad to see you back in competition, and I want to start there. How would you describe the emotion of being back out there at the Cologuard in Tucson, Arizona, your first tour event in I don't even know how many days, hundreds of days?
Yeah, so it was roughly 18 months from the last time I played. Finished up at Notre Dame at the U.S. Senior Open back in the beginning of July of 2019. I think it ended the end of June. And I headed into the city to watch my youngest son perform. And as I was leaving on July 3rd in the morning, heading to the Players' Championship, I was just crossing a crosswalk in downtown New York City, rush hour traffic, and my foot went into a pothole. I fell, landed on my shoulder, fractured my shoulder, and basically smashed half of my glenoid, which is your shoulder socket. You know, I was very fortunate to have Dr. Mark Price, who's the head surgeon for the New England Patriots, do my procedures. He did the first one, which was basically putting Humpty Dumpty back together again. And then the second one was virtually, I had no real mobility. And so he had to loosen it up, get rid of the scar tissue. And then in June of 2020, I was able to actually move my arm and get it up, raise it above my shoulder, to today where now I've got, pretty decent mobility. So having said that, back in June of this past year, I really never thought I was going to be able to play again. I had very limited range of motion. There was just I wouldn't find if I was sitting at a desk on a computer, but trying to compete at the highest level against some of the best players who have ever played the game, it just didn't look like that was going to be possible. But after the surgery, it was amazing how quickly, with all the rehab that I had done through the previous 12 months and the 3 months after, I just really, I made great strides really fast. It got exciting, and I could see that in the future I was going to be able to compete again. And so to be able to get back out in Tucson, my first event, it was just incredibly exciting. I didn't play as well as I had wanted to play, but I was back out. I was going through my normal routine, and I'm really looking forward to Naples coming up here in the middle of April.
Yeah, I'm curious, how were you received by your fellow competitors of the event? Were you in touch with any of them while you were away?
Well, they really, a lot of them reached out to me and understood the severity of my injury. When I got hurt, I was way up on the money list. I was inside the top 30 on the money list, going to be exempt for the following season. As it turned out, with the pandemic, it was really for 2 years. And unfortunately, I fell just outside of being exempt, finishing 56th on the money list. So I have a partial medical, and I'm always on the commitment list, but I will need a lot of sponsor exemptions in order for me to compete this year. And those, my fellow competitors and guys who I've admired throughout my entire career really went to the plate for me. And talked to tournament directors, spoke to different sponsors, and they've really helped me receive some sponsor exemptions, and I'm incredibly grateful for it.
Mm-hmm. I was going to mention that you got into the Cologuard with a sponsor exemption, but the injury, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't allow you to keep your card. So what sort of is the plan now? Does it feel like starting over just a little bit, or maybe getting knocked down a little?
Not really. I mean, I think right now I'm close to competing at right back to where I was, and now I'm in Naples coming up. It looks like Mitsubishi in Atlanta. I'm in the U.S. Open. I'm already exempt for that. I've received a bunch of other sponsor exemptions, so I have a very full year ahead And now ball's in my court. I mean, if I play well, I'll be exempt the following year. If not, I'll be back at the school.
And like you mentioned, this has been basically almost 2 years in the making, just with the injury, and then you had COVID hit, which obviously changed so many things in the world. So,
Sure.
was this one of the more challenging, if not the most challenging, stretches to ever persevere through? And what kind of got you through it?
Well, I think, once I got hurt, there was you had to be positive because I had to do the rehab. There was no way I could look back. I knew I was in a position prior to getting hurt where I was going to be fully exempt. But now that had changed, and it was another hurdle. And how do you persevere? I got three children. I had a wife, my wife, who is incredibly supportive. And I was able to spend a lot of time with them, but they kept me going too and pushed me. And so now I look back today and I say, without them, I wouldn't be here today.
I was reading back in your lead up to the win at the 1990 Mass Open at Vesper that you once stopped playing golf entirely, instead you worked with Peter Kostis for 1 or 2 months, and you said you hit balls 6-7 hours a day. These past 2 years have obviously been a different circumstance. Obviously, this is an injury, but have you found that sometimes having some time away from the game might pay some dividends in the long run?
Well, I think it kind of brings back your hunger. I've done it for 30 years, played professional golf and competed at a fairly high level. And it becomes, that's just the norm. But when something's taken away from you that you love that much, I enjoyed the preparation, but I really enjoyed competing. And that's what drove me day in and day out. I wanted to compete and compete against myself. And I knew if I could reach the level that I wanted to reach, that would be a fairly high level in the game of golf. So it's that pushed me, and I just always wanted to keep pushing myself to get a little better. And, I was fortunate through the years. I had, great, Sean Hester was not only a dear friend, we were high school buddies, and spent a lot of time together, but he really helped me during, through the last 20 years, build a golf swing that I'm able to compete, and play, into my mid-50s.
Right. Sean, the director of instruction over at TPC Boston, do you still get to work with him from time to time when you're back up here in the Northeast?
Yeah, we do, and we talk a lot, and we bounce a lot of things off each other. I'm not really around as much anymore, but we talk quite a bit. And and again, kind of leading into that, I'm looking forward to this year. I don't get the chance to play the Mass Open very often. I got to play a couple years ago at Worcester Country Club, which is my home golf course, and right down the road this year is Oak Hill. So I'll fly in from Wisconsin and get a chance to play at Oak Hill this year in the Mass Open, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. You'll see Fran Quinn here at Oak Hill in the Mass Open in June. Have you played at Oak Hill before? I know you're Central Mass guys. I'm sure you've had some at least over time.
I have. I mean, I've probably, I haven't played there in 15 years maybe, but I've played there quite a bit over the years, and had an opportunity to watch my son play there in high school matches and so forth. So it's just a wonderful Donald Ross golf course.
Now, it's a good segue because, as we've sort of alluded to, golf clearly runs in the family. Your father's a successful amateur golfer, runner-up in the Mass Amateur twice. Son Owen plays at Lehigh, is former Mass Amateur Publics champion. Brother Brian's head coach at Temple. Brothers Kevin and Chris have also found success in golf. So I'm curious, is the family ever able to get together and play golf at any point of the year?
Well, I play, Chris is a member out at Worcester, so I play quite a bit with him. And I play some with Kevin down here at the Floridian whenever he's in town. It's tough just because we're all over, all over the place, different jobs, doing different things, have families to actually get together. But hopefully, we can put together a nice trip and head somewhere and go play and hash out the old times and see who can come out on top. But I know it's going to be tough.
Yeah, how do you divide up those teams? I mean, you're all pretty low handicaps, so to speak. I'm obviously a professional, but I mean, the rest of these guys are all.
Yeah, I mean, you look through it. I mean, he's played a bunch of USGA events, had great success in the Mass Golf Association events, having won the Mass Open. My brother Brian had won the Mass Open and won a few other state opens throughout New England. So he's had a ton of success. Chris played some great golf. My youngest brother, Pat, is a good, a pretty accomplished player in his own right. So, you better bring it. And, my dad, he kind of brought us into the game. We used to shag for him, and he used to give us, a couple swats at the end of the day. We could hit some balls, and then once you got a little better, then you got to play with them, and so it was a lot of fun, and it became really a family affair. We played a lot of golf as kids together, but as I said, as we've kind of grown up and have our own families, we don't get to do it as much as we would like, but I'm sure we will in the future.
And I'm sure for everybody, a lot of people have told us the pandemic's given them a greater appreciation for golf, and I'm sure that applies, I'm sure, to you guys as well. But could you almost say the same is true for your injury? You just, like you said, that hunger's level just sort of raised it even more to get back to play.
You appreciate what the game is, and like I said, I love the game of golf. I love working at my craft. I love competing, but I've also enjoyed watching the growth of my oldest son who plays. I've had an opportunity to watch him and see his growth in the game. So that's been exciting. And so it's just overall, it's been I think it's been a tough time, but I think for golf, it's something we've been able to do outside. It needed a shot in the arm. Unfortunately, it took a pandemic to really get everybody back out on the golf course, because it was one of the few things we could do and have social distancing. And I think that golf has really taken off again, and people want to be outside, want to be walking, want to be playing golf. And I think it's not only has it been important for me, but it's been important for everybody.
Yeah. And what was it like being on the tour? Was it a lot different than you remembered, 2 years ago or so?
Well, not really. I think it was a welcome back. I saw a lot of faces that I hadn't seen in a couple of years. I had spoke to on the phone, but, from, Scott McCarron and Jerry Kelly and David Toms and Tom Pernice, and there's just countless guys, Tommy Gillis, these guys are my friends, and they welcomed me back and really understood in Billy Andrade, the adversity that I went through. And, I'm just incredibly grateful for the opportunity to get back out there, but I was also incredibly grateful for the support they gave me. I can't thank, like Billy Andrade, he championed my cause. He really went out and said, hey, look, this guy had an opportunity he was going to be exempt. Where are we going to go now, and how can we help him get back out and get some starts? And I'm so grateful for that opportunity.
So you've gotten to play so many places across the country and even around the world, and you mentioned your affinity for Donald Ross designs, but what are some of the bucket list courses you're still looking to get to, whether you're a professional or not, or whether you're still playing? What are some dream courses you're still wishing you can get to?
Well, I think I've been fortunate. I think I've played some of the best in the world. I've played in Australia. I've played the PGA Championship down at Kingston Heath and at Royal Melbourne. In South Africa, I've played the South African Open at Durban Country Club. I've played throughout Asia, pretty much every single country throughout Asia. But as I look and I say, as we move on and I wind down my career, where would I love to go? I think I'd like to, and I've been to Ireland. I've played the Irish Open at Portmarnock, but I'd love to go over to Ireland with my family and go play some of the gems over there. I've been fortunate to play most of them in Scotland, but I'd really like to do that in Ireland.
So, I'm sure this has been maybe asked you before, but it's asked to so many golfers. What's that dream foursome? If you're bringing someone out to Ireland, who's in your group? Who would you want if you could pick anybody?
Well, I'd love to have my dad, who passed away back in 2012, and he was the one who basically introduced all of us to the game of golf. And it was, I missed that phone call every night. And so it would be my dad, it would be my son, Owen, and the other one it'd be a revolving door. One of my brothers or my uncle, Bill Cosgrove, that would be my dream foursome.
Yeah. I guess the rest can be looping for you, right?
That's right. They can all come down.
No, that's phenomenal. So we said you see it at the Mass Open in Oak Hill, but just a reminder, where else can we see you on the schedule this year? Where else are you hoping to qualify for?
Well, I'll be in Naples. That will be the middle of April. That's the 16th through the 18th. That will be my next start. Atlanta, Mitsubishi, the PGA in Tulsa, U.S. Open. Those I'm exempt for over in. That will be in Omaha. Dick's Sporting Goods, the Allied Championship. So I've got a very busy schedule moving forward. I got a bunch of starts that have already been confirmed, and now I just need to go out and play well and enjoy the process. It's been a long time coming to get back out there, but I've like I said, I enjoy the work that goes into making yourself the best that you can be. And, again, it doesn't happen without a great support system. I have that at home. And so I'm really looking forward to a great year.
Excellent. Well, Fran Quinn, thanks you so much again for joining us. I know so many of us in the Massachusetts golf community are pulling for you and have been pulling for you throughout this entire process. So thanks again. Good luck with your preparation. And we look forward to seeing you up here in Massachusetts in June.
And I want to thank the Mass Golf for always providing us with great opportunities to play, whether it's on the amateur level or the professional level. And the way that they handle and stage events is like no other. So thank you, Mass Golf, and thank you to everybody out there who has pulled and supported me through the years. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you saying that. So that'll do it with Fran Quinn. For everything Mass Golf related, make sure to visit our website, massgolf.org, and check us out on social media. You can follow us at Play Mass Golf.